Welcome to an overview of the installation steps and techniques for a JennAir built-in refrigerator. Installation should be performed by a qualified installer. Please read through the entire installation guide for your product and gather all tools and parts as instructed. This animation features a French door bottom mount refrigerator with stainless steel panel kit option and is not a replacement for the printed installation guide. View in its entirety before you begin. Other styles or configurations are available and may occasionally be shown as alternate options, but the installation guide for each product should be followed accordingly. To ensure the safe installation of your JennAir product, we've provided many important safety messages in the manual and on your appliance. Always read and obey all safety messages. This is the safety alert symbol and alerts you to potential hazards that can kill or hurt you and others. All safety messages will tell you what the potential hazard is, tell you how to reduce the chance of injury, and tell you what can happen if the instructions aren't followed. Warnings outline hazards that may cause serious injury or death if precautions aren't followed. Important: if the unit has been laid on its back or side, allow it to stand upright for a minimum of 24 hours before connecting power. A note is a suggestion or helpful hint from an experienced installer that may make the installation process easier but isn't required. Note: various screws are shown in the installation guide and this animation, but may seem similar at a glance. Make certain to verify each screw by name and illustration. Warning: explosion hazard. Keep flammable materials and vapors such as gasoline away from the refrigerator. Failure to do so can result in death, explosion, or fire. Please consult and follow all local governing codes and ordinances. Make certain that the floor under the unit is level with the surrounding floor and can support the weight of the refrigerator with door panels and contents included, which is at least 600 pounds. The finished opening must be square, plumb, and level. The width of the required opening varies by model, but is either 36, 42, or 48 inches. The height of the required opening is 84 inches. And the depth is dependent on whether the installation is flush or not, with minimums of 25 or 24 inches respectively. Standard installations require a solid soffit or cabinet 84 inches above the floor. If a soffit or cabinet isn't available or higher than 84 inches, then the refrigerator must be braced with anti-tip boards. In addition to the anti-tip boards, a fully integrated installation requires a minimum of 6 inches of open space above the refrigerator to facilitate proper airflow. The location must permit all doors and drawers to open freely and without obstruction according to the clearance measurements outlined in the installation guide. For corner wall conditions, an additional minimum clearance distance of 4 1/2 inches is required. Note: more clearance may be required if you're installing custom wood overlay panels, custom handles, or extended handles. There are two types of airflow gaps that are critical to built-in refrigerator performance: horizontal and vertical. Horizontal airflow vents out the front and is required for standard flush installations, while vertical airflow vents out the top and is required for fully integrated installations. Because installation site conditions can vary widely, if needed, anti-tip boards are not provided with the product and should be measured and installed from pieces of 2x4 wood boards to meet the combined requirements of the model and opening. Note: install anti-tip boards before the refrigerator is positioned in the opening. The anti-tip boards must overlap the rear of the compressor housing by at least 2 inches and be long enough to fully cover the width of the housing. Locate and mark all stud locations on the rear wall 80 to 90 inches above the floor. Important: before drilling, make certain there are no electrical wires or plumbing behind the wall that the screws could penetrate. Depending on the depth of the opening, cut and attach 1 or more 2x4 wood boards to as many wall studs as possible with wood screws. making certain the wood screws have sufficient length to penetrate the studs by at least 1 1/2 inch. Warning: electrical shock hazard. Plug into grounded 3-prong outlet. Do not remove ground plug. Do not use an adapter. Do not use an extension cord. Failure to follow these instructions can result in death, fire, or electrical shock. Follow the National Electrical Code and local code ordinances when installing the receptacle. If a receptacle is already installed, consult a licensed qualified electrician to verify it meets requirements. Note: before performing any type of installation, cleaning, or removing of a light bulb, remove the top grill and turn the master power switch to off or disconnect power at the circuit breaker. A 115 volt, 60 Hz AC only, 15 or 20 amp fused grounded electrical supply is required. An isolated circuit in the electrical panel or breaker box that serves only the refrigerator is recommended. A grounded 3-prong electrical outlet should be located at the proper distance above the floor and from the right side cabinetry or end wall. Avoid using an outlet that is controlled by a switch or has a ground fault circuit interrupter or GFCI protection, as this could result in nuisance tripping. All installations must meet local plumbing codes and ordinances. Consult a licensed qualified plumber if you're unsure about any of the water supply requirements. The water supply shutoff valve should be located in a base cabinet on either side of the refrigerator or other easily accessible area. Do not use a self-piercing type or 3/16" saddle valve, which reduces water flow and clogs more easily. If a saddle type valve meets with local plumbing codes, your refrigerator dealer has a kit available that contains a 1/4 inch saddle valve with a union and copper tubing. Note: there is not enough clearance to achieve a flush installation if the water shutoff valve is located in the wall behind the refrigerator on a 25-inch deep cabinet. A cold water supply with water pressure between 30 and 120 psi is required to operate the ice maker. This includes the water coming from reverse osmosis water filtration systems if connected. It's not recommended for the ice maker to be connected to a softened water supply. Depending on your installation conditions, the water supply must come up through the floor. A 1/2 inch hole should be drilled within the rectangular area that is at least 6 inches from either side and no more than 1 inch from the back wall. Extend the water line beyond the opening by using flexible tubing if it complies with local codes. Allow at least 26 inches of flexible water tubing to be loose at the front of the refrigerator for connecting to the refrigerator. Warning: tip-over hazard. Refrigerator is top-heavy and tips easily when not completely installed. Keep doors taped closed until refrigerator is completely installed. Use 2 or more people to move and install refrigerator. Failure to do so can result in death or serious injury. Remove and set aside any literature, hardware, parts, and trim inside or taped to the outside of the refrigerator. Make sure to mark or label each trim piece according to which side it was taped, because some pieces are specific. Do not remove the tape, door bracing, or the protective film until the refrigerator is in its final operating location. Important: if the unit has been laid on its back or side, allow it to stand upright for a minimum of 24 hours before connecting power. The side trims cover the space between the refrigerator and the adjacent cabinets and should be installed before the refrigerator is pushed into the opening. Install each trim piece to the side of the refrigerator to which it was originally taped. For custom wood panels that are designed to have a 1/8 inch reveal, the bulb-shaped section of the trim interferes with the panels. Peel the bulb section away from the trim and discard. Remove the 4 pre-installed screws from each side of the cabinet and, using the same holes and screws, attach each side trim. Note: the bulb-shaped section should be forward with the notch at the top as shown. Important: before attaching the water tubing to the refrigerator, flush the water supply line to remove any particles or air from the line and check for leaks. Allow enough water to flow so that the water becomes clear. Tape the tubing to the floor along its length 7 inches from the left side of the refrigerator so it will pass underneath without interference. Connect the water supply line to the refrigerator. Turn on the water supply and check all connections for leaks. Make sure the switch at the top of the cabinet is in the off position. Warning: electrical shock hazard. Plug into grounded 3-prong outlet. Do not remove ground plug. Do not use an adapter. Do not use an extension cord. Failure to follow these instructions can result in death, fire, or electrical shock. Plug into a grounded 3-prong outlet. Roll the refrigerator straight back, slowly and evenly into the opening, taking care not to scratch the surrounding cabinetry with any part of the unit that protrudes or may have sharp edges. Check to be sure the water supply line isn't kinked and that the power cord is on top of the refrigerator. The installation blocks that are attached to the door hinges are designed to provide accurate spacing for 3/4 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1/8 inch measurements. Important: move the installation blocks over so they align with the hinge edges and use as a reference to make certain the refrigerator is pushed back far enough so that when the panels are installed, they'll be flush with the adjacent cabinets. All 4 leveling legs must contact the floor to support and stabilize the full weight of the refrigerator. To avoid damage to the cabinet or leveling legs, do not apply more than 50 inch-pounds of torque to the leveling bolts. Important: make adjustments in small increments to avoid damage to the unit and surrounding cabinetry. Use a 5/16 inch socket driver to turn the leveling bolts clockwise to extend the front and rear legs to the floor. Once the leveling legs are in contact with the floor, continuing to rotate the leveling bolts clockwise will raise that corner of the refrigerator, while rotating counterclockwise will lower that corner of the refrigerator. Continue to gradually adjust both sets of leveling bolts so that the refrigerator is level left to right and front to back and aligned with the adjacent cabinets. Important: the leveling legs only extend to a maximum of 1 1/4 inches below the rollers. Engage the anti-tip boards by continuing to raise the refrigerator evenly until the top of the refrigerator is making contact with the bottom of the anti-tip boards. To do this, rotate all leveling bolts clockwise the same amount. Use a straight edge or 4-foot level extended across the front of the refrigerator and adjacent cabinetry to verify it's still flush. Warning: excessive weight hazard. Use 2 or more people to move and install panels. Failure to do so can result in back or other injury. Please follow the instructions specific for your door panel design. Templates for custom wood panels are included with the refrigerator. Follow the provided installation instructions accordingly. Standard installation panel kits use a 2-piece grill to achieve the required upper vent gap. Align the top grill vent provided in the door panel kit with the bottom edge of the soffit or cabinet and use as a guide to mark and drill pilot holes. Attach with the slotted hex head screws provided. For custom panel kits, the 5 3/4 inch standard top grill provides the necessary 1-inch gap for proper airflow, but a 1-inch wood filler will also be required to hide the upper compressor cover from view. A 6 5/8 inch grill panel is used for a fully integrated look. You must have the required minimum of 6 inches of open space above the grill panel or above a false front when present, and use the integrated grill brackets. Note: once prepped, the process for installing custom panels or panel kits is the same. For custom panels only, there's an additional grill trim piece that needs to be attached to the bottom of the grill panel using the round head screws provided. Open the doors and remove the hinge cover trim pieces from the top and bottom of the doors to expose the holes in the hinges. Hinge cover trim pieces will vary in location by model. The following order is suggested when installing panels: bottom drawer, doors, then the top grill. To attach the bottom drawer panel, loosen the white screws securing the brackets to the drawer panel. Some flexibility or movement in the brackets will aid with attaching and securing the drawer panel to the drawer sides. Align the slots in the panel mounting brackets with the holes in the drawer. Using the white Phillips head flat screws provided, attach the mounting brackets to the drawer. Attach the screws just firmly enough so that the drawer panel is held in place but not tight, which will allow you to move the drawer panel up and down until properly aligned. Do not fully tighten the screws at this time to allow for additional adjustments if required as subsequent panels are installed. To install the door panels, fully open one door and partially open the other. The partially open door is the one on which the panel is to be installed. Note: to provide convenient access to both the upper door adjustment pins and the J-pockets, experienced installers often use blocks of foam packing material to wedge the door open while the panel is being installed. Locate the studs on the back of the door panel and slide them into the J-pockets on the front of the door. Lower the panel top bracket onto the door adjustment pins at the top of the door. For French door or side-by-side models, repeat the same process to attach the second door panel. To install the top grille panel for a standard installation, hook the panel brackets onto the mounting pins and pull down slightly to lock into place. For a fully integrated top grille, align the brackets on each side with the mounting pins and push the grille forward until it snaps into place. If the grille bracket needs to be adjusted for proper alignment, loosen and retighten the slotted hex head screws. If a 110-degree default door swing is too wide, you may adjust the door swing to 90 degrees with the door stop pin provided. All purchased panel kits require a 3/8-inch gap between the panels and the adjacent cabinets, while custom panels can have either a 3/8 or 1/8-inch gap. Use the installation block to measure the gaps between the panels and adjacent cabinets and adjust as necessary. All purchased panel kits require a 3/8-inch gap between the panels and the adjacent cabinets, while custom panels can have either a 3/8 or 1/8-inch gap. All panels, whether custom or kit, must maintain a 1/8-inch gap between the refrigerator and freezer doors or drawer, as well as between the doors and the top grille. If adjustments are required to achieve the proper spacing or to align, you should adjust the panels. The doors are not adjustable. Panel adjustments can be made by either sliding the panel side to side through the keyhole slots or by turning the adjustment pins with a 5/32 hex key wrench to raise the panels up and down. Once proper spacing and alignment is achieved, you'll need to firmly secure the door panels to the doors. Pre-drill pilot holes through the open holes of both the top and bottom hinges and attached with the slotted hex head screws provided. In a similar manner, attach the door panels to the hinge side door trims. Fully tighten all door panel screws and remove any remaining protective film. For 36-inch models, there's an additional bracket at the top to fasten the panel to the door with screws. Reinstall the top door trim and hinge covers and snap the provided adjustment pin cover into place. Note: missing hinge covers will result in a "no lights" error message because the covers engage the light switches when the door is closed. Using the white Phillips head flat screws provided, attach the handle side door trims. Attach and tighten the mounting brackets located at the bottom of the door to the respective door panels with the slotted hex head screws provided. If necessary, adjust the drawer panel alignment and fully tighten all screws. There are two pieces to the base grille assembly to allow for a custom fit: the base grille and the skirt that extends all the way to the floor if needed. The screws to attach the base grille are taped to the back. To determine if the skirt is needed, temporarily position the base grille and measure the distance between the bottom of the grille and the floor. If the gap is greater than 1/2 inch, the skirt will be needed. Remove the film from the base grill and snap the skirt onto the grill if necessary. To size the grill properly, score the skirt at the appropriate V-groove with a utility knife, and then break the skirt at the score line. Attach the base grill assembly to the refrigerator right side first using the 2 black screws provided. Turn the refrigerator switch to the on position. Wait a few moments and double-check all waterline connections for leaks. Remove all packing material from inside the refrigerator and the installation site. Install any shelves and bins removed during installation. Check that the compressor and all lights are operating properly. Controls are preset by the factory to the midpoint. Adjust as needed. Turn on the ice maker and the water system will flush through normal operation. Remind the customer to discard the first 2 to 3 batches of ice. The installation of your JennAir built-in refrigerator is now complete. Make sure to let the customer know that it could take up to 24 hours to make the first batch of ice. Provide all product documentation, guides, extra screws, and hardware to the customer. Should you have any questions about the installation process for JennAir built-in refrigerators, please contact us at 1-800-JennAir or visit our website at www.jennair.com.